I am Mrs. Sandhya Lanke, faculty of Shri Jain Vidya Prasarak Mandal, Sasikla Lem Dhariwal College of Pharmacy, Pune. Today we will discuss about the topic posology for pharmaceutics 2. Let us discuss the learning outcomes. At the end of this video, you will be able to define posology, dose and official dose of drug. You will be able to learn and discuss factors affecting dose of drugs, and you will be able to find dose of drug using various formulae or dose calculations. Now let's proceed with the definition of posology. What is posology? It is derived from Greek word posos meaning how much and logos meaning science. So we can define posology as a branch of science which deals with dose or quantity of drugs which can be administered to a patient to get desired pharmacological action. In short, we can say that posology deals only with the dose of drug. Then after the dose and official dose of drug, dose is nothing but simply an amount of medication which is administered at one specific time. For example, so many times physicians prescribes us lot of tablets. So at a single time we are administering a single tablet. That is nothing but the dose. So paracetamol 500 mg tablet is an example of a dose. There is a difference between official dose. Official dose is nothing but the quantity of drug or dose to be taken which is mentioned in the official books. Official books like pharmacopoeia. We know different type of pharmacopoeias like Indian pharmacopoeia, British pharmacopoeia, United States pharmacopoeia and so on. So this is the definition of dose and official dose. The next one is the various factors affecting dose of drug. There are total 15 to 16 factors. Question can be asked in board exam for 2 marks as enlist the factors affecting dose. So here are the factors: age, sex, body weight, route of administration, accumulation, time of administration, environmental factors, emotional factors, presence of disease, additive effect, synergistic effect, antagonistic effect, idiosyncrasy, tachyphylaxis, drug tolerance and metabolic disturbances. So these are just enlisted factors affecting dose of drug. Now one by one we'll discuss the individual factor in detail. Question can be asked in board exam on each of these factors for 3 marks. What do you mean by likewise? So first the factor is age. Now the pharmacokinetics of many drugs changes with the age. Pharmacokinetic is nothing but what drug does in the body, that is different type of ADME processes: absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. So pharmacokinetic of many drug changes with age. So while determining the dose of a drug, the age of an individual is of great significance. Children and old people need a lesser amount of drug than the normal adult dose. Why? Because they are unable to exercise drugs to the extent as adults, because their organ of metabolism and excretion are less sensitive to the drug response. That's why the amount of drug required in geriatric and pediatric patient is less than that of the adults. There are some examples or exceptions for these. Children can tolerate relatively large amount of belladonna, digitalis and ethanol, whereas elderly patients are more sensitive to some drugs like hypnotics, tranquilizers which may produce confusion states in them. So these are the exceptional examples of age. After age, the next factor is sex, or we can say gender. Now, women require less doses than the male. Morphine and barbiturates may produce more excitement before sedation in women. Another major reason for this dose differentiation is women undergo various physiological changes during their life cycle like menstruation, pregnancy and lactation. So Some drugs are restricted in these physiological conditions. For example, the strong purgatives such as aloes should be avoided during menstruation and pregnancy. Why? Because purgatives are going to increase the bowel movement, and in menstruation and pregnancy already the bowel movement is going to be increased, so there may chances of side effects. Then the next physiological condition in woman's life is pregnancy and lactation. So, during lactation, some drugs are contraindicated. During lactation, drugs like antihistaminics, morphine, and tetracycline should be avoided. There are some drugs which, on administration by lactating mother, are capable of crossing the placenta and that may affect the fetus. For example, alcohol, barbiturates, and narcotics. That's why dose plays an important role while we are discussing about the sex. Then the next factor is body weight. Normally, when a physician prescribes the medicine, it is considered for dose of drugs for the adult. Usually, dose of drugs are mentioned generally for 70 kg of adult. And according to the body weight, we have to calculate the doses. Obese patient, children and malnourished patient require less doses because the drug concentration is nothing but the ratio of amount of drug to the body weight. So, body weight plays an important role while calculating the dose of drug. The next factor is route of administration. In pharmacology, you might be learn about different routes of administration. So while we are comparing the different routes of administration, the intravenous doses of drugs are usually smaller than oral doses because the drug administered intravenously enters the bloodstream directly. So as compared to other doses, routes of administration, the intravenous route of administration require less dose, and because of this the increased absorption and we can say increased bioavailability is observed. One more side effect of this is the effect observed cannot be reversed when we are taking the intravenous dose. That's why we have to consider the route of administration also. Then is the time of administration. While administering the drug, the time of administration also plays an important role. Some drugs are to be administered in empty stomach while some drugs are to be administered after meal. For example, presence of food in the stomach delays the absorption of drug. The drug more rapidly absorbed from empty stomach. That's why the amount of drug is very effective when taken before meal. But some irritating drugs are better tolerated if administered after meals. For example, different iron tablets, cod liver oil, such type of drugs should be administered after meals. The next factor affecting dose of drug is environmental factor. Daylight is a stimulant, enhances the effect of stimulating drugs and diminish the effect of hypnotics. While darkness is sedative, hypnotics are more effective at night. Now why this is so? Normally, the person sleeps calmly and peacefully at night. Sedatives and hypnotics are the drugs which induces sleep resembling to the natural sleep. So, if such type of drugs are administered by the patient who are suffering from sleeplessness, at that time the dose of drug required in the daytime will be more than that the dose required in the night. That's why darkness enhances the sedative and hypnotic effect. That's why the concentration of hypnotic at night is less. The amount of barbiturate required to produce sleep during daytime is much higher than the dose required in the night. Hope you might be understood the concept. Then is the emotional factors. The personality and behavior of a physician may influence the effect of drugs, especially the drugs which are intended for use in psychosomatic disorder. That means if there is an healthy relation, friendly relation between the patient and the physician, at that time in some cases of psychosomatic disorders, the amount of drug required is less. Then another factor is the females are more emotional than male, and that's why they require less doses. Some inert drugs, those are called as placebos. These placebos are having same physical properties as that of your normal drug. So these placebos are also produces therapeutic benefit in diseases like angina pectoris and asthma. We know the normal tendency of human beings that even just by visiting to the physician, some patients feel better and they feel calm. So this is nothing but the psychology of the patient. That's why emotional factors plays an important role while calculating the dose. Then the next one is presence of disease. Drugs like barbiturates, chlorpromazine may produce prolonged effect in patients having liver cirrhosis. Then streptomycin is excreted mainly by kidney, may prove toxic if kidney is not functioning properly. So if a person is suffering from chronic type of diseases and he is taking treatment for any acute disease, at that time presence of that chronic disease may also affect his current treatment also. That same is given here. An example, during fever a patient can tolerate high doses of antipyretics than the normal person. Fever is nothing but increase in the normal body temperature. So when a person takes antipyretic drug in fever, at that time it will be better tolerated. But if same drug is administered by a normal person, there is no chance of getting any therapeutic effect because the person is not having any elevated body temperature. So same thing is given here. The presence of disease plays an important role while calculating the dose of drug. Then the next factor is accumulation. Accumulation is nothing but the drugs which are excreted slowly may get accumulated in the body and produce toxic effects. Or repeated administration of drugs like digitalis, imidine and heavy metal may produce toxic effect. Now why this accumulation occurs? So whenever there is slow rate of excretion of the drug or a rapid rate of absorption of drug is going to be takes place, at that time the chances of cumulative effect or accumulation are more. So just because of slow rate of excretion, the drug will be accumulated in the body, and obviously if drug will remain for longer period of time in the body, it may produce the toxic effects. That's why accumulation also is one of the factor while determining the dose of drug. Next is additive effect. Here you can see in the diagram, if two different drugs are administered together, the effect observed is equivalent to sum of their individual pharmacological action. That phenomena is called as additive effect. In short, we can say that 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. Example is combination of ephedrine and aminophylline in treatment of bronchial asthma. So additive effect is observed. Then next one is synergistic effect. Again you can observe the diagram. Two drugs are administered simultaneously. They tend to increase the effect of each other, and this is known as synergism. Like in additive effect 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. In synergistic effect 1 plus 1 is equals to greater than equal to 2. That means the effect observed may be 2 or more than 2. That's why it is called as synergistic effect. Here one drug helps another drug to increase the total pharmacological effect. Example is combination of aspirin and paracetamol increases analgesic effect. Another example, combination of penicillin and streptomycin increases antibacterial effect of antibiotics. So this is regarding the synergistic effect. Next is the antagonistic effect. When action of one drug is opposed by action of another drug on same physiological system, it is known as antagonism. So the use of antagonistic responses is useful in treatment of poisoning. Now what is this antagonism? When we are administering one drug and on same physiological system if we administer another drug unknowingly or knowingly, but if the effect of both the drugs are contradictory to each other, they will nullify. That means no therapeutic response will be observed. Example is given. Now this is the beneficial example of antagonism. Milk of magnesia is given in treatment of acid poisoning. Milk of magnesia is an alkaline drug. So whenever the person is suffering from acid poisoning, upon administration of milk of magnesia, it will neutralize the effect of acid and obviously it will produce the beneficial effect. Another example of antagonistic effect is simultaneous administration of acetylcholine and adrenaline opposes each other's action. Now how this is? Because we are not getting any effect. Why? Because one of these drug is vasoconstrictor and another is vasodilator. Both drugs will act on same physiological system, that is vessels. But because of their opposite effect, constriction and dilatation, no any effect will be observed. So this is the drawback of antagonistic effect. Next one is idiosyncrasy, which is also nowadays called by the name allergy, or we can say hypersensitivity. Now what is this idiosyncrasy? It is nothing but an extraordinary response to a drug which is different from its characteristic pharmacological action. This is called as idiosyncrasy. Nowadays this word is replaced by the term allergy, or we can say hypersensitivity. In short, we can say the side effects which are observed, those are nothing but the idiosyncrasy. Extraordinary response, that means beside the original effect of drug, whatever effects or whatever characteristics the drug is going to be shown, that are called as idiosyncrasy. For example, morphine can produce excitation in some individuals, especially in women, although normally it depresses the central nervous system. So normally morphine, what is the action of morphine? It is depressing the central nervous system, but in some cases in women it produces excitation in small doses. So this is an example of idiosyncrasy. Another one, small dose of aspirin can produce gastric hemorrhage. Another one is small dose of quinine can produce ringing in the ear. So quinine is an anti-malarial drug, but apart from anti-malarial effect, it also produces ringing in the ear. So this is an example of idiosyncrasy. Another day-to-day life example is of sulfonamides. You might be knowing many people are allergic to sulfonamide. They produces skin rashes or skin reaction upon administration of sulfonamides. Now actually sulfonamides are either used for urinary tract infection or as an antibacterial drugs. But apart from that urinary tract infection or antibacterial effect, they also produces skin rashes. So this is nothing but the drug allergy or idiosyncrasy. Then drug tolerance. When usually the large dose of drug is required to produce an effect ordinarily produced by normal therapeutic dose of drug, the phenomena is known as drug tolerance. Very simple. Normally, if 250 mg of paracetamol is required to produce an effect, but if the person is having drug tolerance, upon repeated administration of same drug, the large amount of dose will be required to produce same effect. For example, smokers can tolerate more nicotine and alcoholics can tolerate large quantity of alcohol. Means if the person is having that particular repeated administration of same drug for prolonged period of time, at that time their body is getting resistant to that, and that's why to produce the same effect large quantity of drug will be required. Related to drug tolerance is the next factor, that is tachyphylaxis. You can see the diagram here. In tachyphylaxis, what happens when certain drugs are administered repeatedly at short interval of time, the cell receptors are getting blocked up and the pharmacological response to that particular drug is decreased. The decreased response cannot be reversed by increasing the dose. This phenomena is known as tachyphylaxis. So when we will compare tolerance and tachyphylaxis, in tolerance, upon increasing the dose of drug, the effect can be observed. But in case of tachyphylaxis, even after increasing the amount of drug, we are not getting any kind of effect. Now why this is so? Just because the cell receptors of that particular persons are getting, of that particular body part are getting blocked up, and this is just because repeated administration of the same drug in very short period of time. So that is tachyphylaxis. For example, ephedrine hydrochloride in the treatment of bronchial asthma. Then the last factor is metabolic disturbances. Now there are various physiological balances in our body. So whenever there is change in water and electrolytes balance, acid base balance, body temperature and other physiological factors, then only they can modify the effect of drug. For example, salicylates can reduce body temperature only when an individual has rise in body temperature. They have no antipyretic effect if the body temperature is normal. Same example we have discussed in presence of disease. Unless and until there is change in the body temperature. Body temperature is also one of the major physiological parameters. So unless and until the normal body temperature is going to be elevated, the antipyretic drug will show its effect. But if same drug is administered to the normal patient, it will not produce any therapeutic effect because there is no any elevation of body temperature, and antipyretics will act only to reduce the elevated body temperature. So this is nothing but the metabolic disturbances. So right now we have discussed all the factors that affects dose of the drug. Now proceeding further is the calculation of doses. Question is always asked in the board exam for 3 marks. Enlist the different methods of calculation of doses and give various formulas for this. So there are 3 different methods of calculation of doses. The first one is dose proportionate to age, then dose proportionate to body weight, and dose proportionate to body surface area. Now one by one we'll discuss which formulas comes under this. So in dose proportionate to age, the first formula is Young's formula, which tells us that dose of child is equal to age in years upon age in years plus 12 multiplied by adult dose. Young's formula is applicable for children under 12 years of age. Then the next formula related to age is the Delling's formula. This formula is applicable for children between 4 to 20 years. According to this formula, the dose of child is equals to age in years divided by 20 multiplied by average adult dose. And the last formula related to age is the Fry's formula. This formula is applicable to calculate the dose of infants only. According to this formula, child dose is equal to age in months divided by 150 multiplied by adult dose. Then the second method for calculation of dose is dose proportionate to body weight. In this, the formula is Clark's formula. Now, according to this formula, body weight can be given in 2 forms, either in the kilograms or in pounds. So when the body weight is mentioned in kilograms, we will use child dose is equal to weight in kilogram divided by 70 multiplied by adult dose. And if the body weight is given in terms of pounds, we will use the formula child dose is equal to weight in pounds divided by 150 multiplied by adult dose. And the last method for calculation of dose is dose proportionate to body surface area. Here the Katzel rule is there. According to that, child dose is equal to surface area of child divided by surface area of adult multiplied by adult dose. Now, the surface area of adult is always considered as 1.73 meters square. So, these are the different methods for calculation of dose of the drug. So, thank you very much for watching this video.